So one of the dilemmas we were facing was creating a system where we could have lots and lots of tree variations with very few models. And one of the ways that we looked at accomplishing this in particular was shaders, because with shaders we can adjust all sorts of different things based on how it shows up. Not just the textures, but 3D positions, how those get rendered as well. So in this case, what we did is we added a variance based on its position. Now, every model of a tree you see here is exactly the same. Everything is identical. One of the things I'll point out about this is, so right now I have a magnitude of variation set to 0 on this shader. If I were to bump this up to, say, 0.01, all of a sudden you start seeing some variations show up all over the place. Little things that stick out, a little spot that sticks out just a little bit over here sticks out a lot more over here. And they all end up shifting and changing. Of course, we also added some color changes to this just to keep things kind of fun. So we can go for more purple edge here, and the secondary tone we can have something maybe fiery red. Or let's see. That feels kind of nice. Alright. So we've got all these different trees in here, and we can look at them from different angles to kind of get some different views here. But just looking down, trying to look down a row, yeah, the tips are actually pretty close to the same position. Anyway, but a lot more of the stuff is starting to change perhaps when you get a little bit lower. Oh, here we go. This is really good. You see the tree trunk over here versus this one versus this one. And now if I switch the variance back to 0, the tree trunks, this one doesn't stick out as much all over the place. And if I were to increase the number on this, let me go to some place where I can see a lot of this at the same time. The magnitude really can stretch things out quickly. You can see everything kind of gets pulled in a particular direction by the multiplier. And some of them get pulled a little more than other ones. So let me reduce that. And this number ended up producing some very wild differences. But we ended up creating a variety of different shaders and how they mess with things. So on this one you can see this one comes out only over here, this one sticks out farther on this side, but the variation is so wild at this point that they don't even resemble trees anymore. So the variation shader works best when it's really mild, just doing a subtle shade difference. Some of the other ones that we were working on also did color changes, so depending on where it was, it would also shift coloring. Well, this is one of the ones that does. So you can see this one has dark purples, this one has oranges on top, and this has to do with positions of where they are in the world. So if I were to take a tree, for instance, this tree, and then drag it, you see it's color shifting based on where it is. Now it's kind of a wild, crazy color shift, and where it affects, how it affects, it's all over the place depending on where I drag it to. So, but once I have it set in a particular position in the world, it stays that way. No matter where the camera moves or where I move, that tree will always be the same. So simply by placing it in a spot, it stays how it should appear. Alright, so that was one of the ways that we dealt with getting a lot of tree variations just out of a shader and one model.